Ladies and gentlemen, get ready because, well, I'm wound up and there is a lot to cover, and it just continues to illustrate everything we've been talking about. There is a private, anti-free market, anti-family world government being established that calls itself the New World Order. It's just modern slavery, where the globalists are exempt from taxes, exempt from their own laws that they internationally create, codify, and then get our dictatorial governments of every major nation to certify. So we're going to be breaking all of this down today. Lou Rockwell of LouRockwell.com will be joining us via video Skype, and we'll take some of your calls as well in the third hour. And we are also going to have Pat Shannon on. He was going to be on a few weeks ago, but there was so much breaking news, I moved him. I've known this guy for like 16 years, 17 years. And an amazing investigative journalist. He's written a new book that I couldn't put down when I started reading it. Everything they ever told me was a lie. Available at InfoWarsStore.com. And we're going to be going over his book and a lot more today in the second hour. And we'll also have open phones then. Wow, where do I start? Where do I begin? There's been something really eating at me. I've talked about it some, but not enough. And so we're going to do a series of investigative reports on this, just illustrating the fact for you. The facts are in, but we'll put it together in the reports. I'm going to talk about it today, but it almost doesn't do justice to it. It's like if I do a special report on the nightly news and then air it here, everyone pays attention to it and it's like has some type of special gravitas. But if I'm just here going over the mountains of information, it tends to kind of fall on deaf ears sometimes. But there is no doubt, and it has been stated, that the government, for any reason, no judge, no jury, is not just planning to not let you travel outside the country or back into the country, vis-a-vis, however they choose, or take your bank accounts, but that the government is moving to not even let you travel within the country or have a job. In fact, I printed it last week and meant to get to it. I just type in Obama's new executive order to seize bank accounts. It's huge bombshell news. And see, I already know all this is coming. So what happens is I read this news, I confirm it, and then I don't even cover it a lot of the time because it's passé to me. Well, just because you know that you're being taken to the gallows at 5 a.m. Doesn't change the fact that you're being taken to the gallows. And our country is being walked to the gallows pole. And I do not like it. So we're going to be going over just news of the last couple days. This is just what I came in this morning and dug out of today's stack and the stack from over the weekend. Okay? This is just out of the stack from today. And when we come back, I'll mention some of the other news that's coming up today. It's a big news day. Very important news. AP, no-fly list strands man on island in Hawaii. I'm proud of the fact that days before this last week, last Wednesday, and this came out on Friday, it was Doug Hagman who told us about this, and we got the guy on the show repeatedly, and we're able to force it out. And now here's the AP days later admitting that because he's a prepper and because he complained about the NDAA online, well, now you just can't fly, bud. How's that sound? You're a U.S. citizen, no judge, no jury. No judge, no jury. And he just says, you're just disappeared. That's just the beginning. Now, here's Lou Rockwell, why you need a passport now. They're moving to just deny Americans passports for no reasons. The IRS, you're not going anywhere. Fox News. Senators unveil ex-Patriot Act to expand to Facebook's severance tax scheme. We're going to break down what life in America and the Western world will be like if we don't stop these authoritarians. That's why the TSA is at the heart of all this. Also, UN monitors are here to oversee the election. That and a lot more coming up. Insider billionaire investors like George Soros and John Paulson have recently made massive moves into gold, purchasing what Bloomberg News described as gold hoards. Soros alone doubled his holdings in a single day. Russia's Vladimir Putin has doubled down on gold, increasing the country's holdings by over 100%. With $1.8 trillion under management, the bond king Bill Gross, the world's preeminent bond fund manager at PIMCO, has warned investors of the dangers of QE3 and inflation. And what's he betting on? You guessed it, gold. Friends, this is Alex Jones for MidasResources.com. For more than 15 years, I have exclusively used Midas Resources for all my precious metal needs. Whether it's bullion or collectibles you're looking for, Midas Resources is simply the best. I own my gold as a hedge against inflation. This Federal Reserve fiat currency could go the way of the Deutschmark and the Weimar Republic anytime. In these historically dangerous times, it makes sense to physically hold gold and silver. Midas already has some of the best deals in the industry. But if you give them a call and mention the radio special, they will give you a list of the day's super specials. Midas brokers are standing by to answer all your questions at 800-686-2237. They also have a lot of informative free literature explaining the opportunities and risk of holding precious metals. They are ready to answer your questions at 800-686-2237. Again, that's 800-686-2237. And I've got a big stack of them here. Every scientific big poll, Gallup, you name it, has him now in a dead heat or 3 to 5 points ahead of Obama. And I went back and looked at it. I also found another article going over it from Gallup showing their polling over the last 2 weeks. And, yeah, it shows him 2 weeks ago, Romney 49, Obama 47. And now you can just see it change the numbers up till now. Obama 45, Romney 52, and that's what a bunch of other polls are showing. Now listen, don't count your chickens before they're hatched if you like Romney, because there's something called electronic voting fraud that has been proven to really be bad in more than 10 states. And it varies county to county, but 10 states are really been certified to be full of fraud. Places like Ohio, Florida, basically anywhere that's been a swing state before, Iowa, in primaries, California. Do not hold your breath, ladies and gentlemen. And again, it'll just mean a different management team from the New World Order if Romney gets in. Christian Science Monitor has an analysis out today saying that Romney couldn't really have a tougher Iran policy with sanctions and covert operations than Obama would. And that's really true from my research. Kurt Nimmo, a day before that, an article out. Obama and Romney, war no matter who wins election. Well, yeah, people say, oh, Alex, where's this war? I don't know, Libya. I mean, they called it a peace action. Syria right now, blowing up missile factories, blowing up military police bases on a weekly basis, assassinations inside Iran. Our media bragging that there's covert war going on. I mean, that's war. You know, when you're blowing up military bases in Iran, that's called a war. Just in case people didn't know, war's been going on for really 3 years, hot and heavy, but it's starting to intensify. It was kind of like on level 5 on the top of the stove. Now they turned it up to level 10. So it is on high burn right now. The only question is, will it go into overdrive and turn it up to broil? So we're going to be breaking all that down. Also on the election, UN to monitor conservative groups at U.S. polls. That's Melissa Melton, Infowars.com. And it's also in the Hill newspaper that covers Capitol Hill. International monitors at U.S. polling spots draw criticism from voter fraud groups. And see, the UN, it's the UN. When you read it, it says it's the UN. I mean, look, we told everybody the UN's starting to run our country more and more. Can we just be honest about it, or does the media always have to say, oh, it's global governance, not government? Same thing, though. Or, oh, yeah, it's international monitors. Yeah, from the UN, but we're not going to say that in the headline because that sounds conspiratorial. I saw that Financial Times of London article, another one pushing world government a few months ago, and it's like, yeah, we don't want to be conspiracy theorists, but there is a global private corporate government, and it knows best. And it's authoritarian, but don't listen to the conspiracy kooks that say there's a world government. So the message is, hey, there's a world government, get in line with it, or we're going to call you a conspiracy theorist because the general public's dumbed down. That's what they're telling business readers. Yes, it's real, but you're not supposed to say it is. Well, the problem is I'm not going to play along with it. Infowars.com, prisonplanet.com, Matt Drudge at drudgereport.com and his crew aren't going to go along with the so-called establishment saying they're going to lecture us on reality. WorldNet Daily is not going to go along with it. Many others aren't going to go along with it. You're not going to go along with it. And so they got a problem because we have inalienable rights. We're not slaves. And listen, I live in a city. We've done news reports showing the UN website where they brag. They call it a immunized UN model city. And the city of Austin has signed agreements and policy guidelines to even get international funds and designations. There's our city and one other Japanese city. You can look it up, that are the UN models of the world. And then that Japanese city is our sister city. So again, you can go watch Aaron Dykes, Melissa Melton's reports. They followed like 3 of them in the last month. We should air those again. We did during the special 48-hour broadcast. But the point is that it even hit me yesterday. Driving along with my wife, and I just said, I've got to go on air and explain to people we're in occupied territory. And she goes, you've said that many times. But, I mean, I need to explain this is really happening. This is really going on. I mean, I'm not just saying deep behind enemy lines in captured FEMA Region 6. I live more than anybody else in the United States under the United Nations. We're going to do more reports on that. And every small town around Austin is in the process of being taken over. I mean, they'll go into small towns with 10,000 people in them and spend $5, $6, $7, $8 million a year in the last few years, going in, buying the mayors, buying everybody, pushing a referendum, putting armies of bureaucrats, knocking on doors, having town hall meetings, saying, sign on to this. And then they just roll over and just take the land. I mean, you name it. It's incredible. But they do it in a limp-wristed, simpering NPR voice, which is scientifically crafted under Delphi technique. We'll say to these people, you're Delphi trained. They'll start smiling. I've had them off record laugh at me and say, you're not going to stop us. These are soldiers, folks. These are operatives. These are infiltrators. And they know it is the thing. I've been to smart growth conferences when the camera's off and have one of them just grab me by the shirt. Bankers, former Dallas Cowboy, you name it, they're all there. Bank of America, all of them. And they'll say, you don't ever aim that camera at me. You understand? You're not going to stop anything we're doing. I mean, they know what they're doing. And, I've witnessed it. They're not naive, folks. These are pirates. But 21st century pirates act all nice and, oh, hi, everybody. Oh. I mean, it's a program. These are spies. These are operatives. And I don't know how I get this across to you, that the fact that the general public reads the newspaper, 23% of people read newspapers still, and then they think they're smart, and that's a bunch of gobbledygook, or they tell the truth, but then lie by omission or frame things differently and say one thing is another. While incredible historic things are happening, we are now in occupied America by the globalists, by the banksters, and just type in banks declare they've conquered Europe, or Goldman Sachs conquers Europe, or Goldman Sachs conquers Greece, or J.P. Morgan conquers the world, and you'll get Forbes and Reuters and AP and all of it. And Davos, Switzerland, I mean, they announced 2 years ago, year and a half ago, the Davos before last, they said, we're going to have a world government with 100 trillion funding us of carbon taxes, and it will be funded into our systems. And even if the carbon taxes fail, we're going to have a new global currency. We're not going to get rid of the other currencies. We're just going to devalue them until you beg for the new strategic drawing right. Guys, just type in 100 trillion, Davos, 100 trillion needed for credit system. 100 trillion, 100 trillion. We're the mega bank of Europe. The ECB of Europe, it is the world government now. They, in their own words, Herman von Rompuy, all of them have bragged about it. He left as the head of the EU and went to be the head of that. They're all there in front of everyone announcing world government. And I'm sitting here going, they're announcing world government. There it is, London Telegraph. World needs 100 trillion more credit, says World Economic Forum. 63 trillion pounds given to them. And what's the date on that? I know it was 2000. and 11. It'll be right there. January 18, 2011, as I said, a little over a year and a half ago. And you can go, they got links to the video in there last time I read that article. I mean, this is not my opinion. By the way, I've been listening to syndicated and local talk radio a lot when I'm out jogging and things. I heard WOAI last Friday when I was taking a break jogging when I left here, the big talk station in San Antonio, one of the big ones, saying it's terrible that our government's backing al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria. And this morning I heard on News Radio 590 them admit and go, yo, it's true, our government runs al-Qaeda and it's terrible. So, look, we can get this info out there. I know it doesn't compute with the normal, it's like, well, the government runs al-Qaeda. Well, then why are they trying to take our liberties? Because it was always a bait and switch. It was always meant to be a bait and switch. And you've got to come to grips with it. I mean, I've been at these smart growth conferences and things, and I've had people come over who are in the city and literally look around when nobody's around while I'm by the water fountain and bump into me and say, I'm going to kill you. And you look at them and you're like, you're going to kill me? Yeah, I'm a Marine. I know how to kill you. Well, okay, go ahead and try. You better hope I don't see you coming, buddy. And just because you get me doesn't mean people aren't going to come for you. But you think my family's going to roll over to somebody putting a hole in me? I may not be anything compared to my Texas ancestors, but you mess with me, you better believe people are coming for you. That's another reason I'm still alive. All right, we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us. I'm going to get into the biggest news, and then I'm going to get into the economy, war. Yeah, I've got something to say about Lance Armstrong. I'm going to get into Russell Means dead. God rest his soul. He's gone to the happy hunting ground. Stay with us.
Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
Well, Obama is now on record, and the media is starting to pick it up. He wants to not only ban rifles, but also handguns, and put citizens extrajudicially on a list and just take your guns. No judge, no jury, no nothing. Just, well, you're on a no-fly list. You're also on a no-buy list. And again, 10 years ago, I was watching C-SPAN for more than an hour and a half, and they had a TSA. Governor Ridge was there. He hadn't even gotten cabinet position yet for Homeland Security, newly formed by the executive. And they had all these tables together with all these corporate CEOs there. And they said at that meeting that in the future, you will have to have TSA, Homeland Security, authorization to have a job anywhere. And that they would start in critical infrastructure, computers, ports, and fan out from there. And now you can go look at literally tens of millions of Americans, people that do, service on trucks at national parks, people that work in mining, people that work in basically every area are told, you got to go get a certification. Doesn't matter your background check came back from Homeland Security. And then they just put a block on you. And you see, this is the essence of tyranny. Every authoritarian system makes you have a paper that's stamped and certified that you're in good standing with them. And then if you're not a good globalist, if you're not a good Nazi, if you're not a good communist, if you're not a good Roman, if you weren't a good Aztec, whatever the case was, you weren't allowed. In England, in the Middle Ages, also in Europe, they had laws about what you could wear, certain colors, because they didn't have to have checkpoints. If you had a bunch of finery and diamonds and were wearing purple or scarlet, then you were just, boom, access wherever you went. You were known by your horse. You were known by, and you could be executed in ancient England if you were wearing a knight's sword and were not a certified knight. And if you didn't have all the secret passcodes, and that's where secret societies come from, the Masons, all of that. And that's what happens here. Well, now they just turn your face scan off, your thumbprinting off, and they know it's going to be a giant chilling effect. You serve the system, you're going to be left alone. It's now been in the news, and I've interviewed some of the Marines and people they've done this to, because they always want soldiers to infiltrate groups and basically set them up or be set up themselves, that you get put on a no-fly list when you have no criminal record. They always target people that they know are salesmen and folks that have to be able to fly. And they call you in 6 months later. They've got a formula when you're basically bankrupt. And they say, listen, we're going to pay you the money back and everything. You've just got to work for us now in InfraGard. And we may never ask you to do anything, but we may ask you to kill people. That's come out in the news about InfraGard. Or we may ask you to go set people up. Now, we're going to pay you. We're going to pay the money you've lost from being on the no-fly list. I mean, this is what they do. This is how they induct people. And a lot of people get scared. And they go, well, you're FBI. Okay. You're ATF. Well, all right, I'll do whatever. And then, you know, a couple years down the road, if they find out you're doing things like they want, you're taken over to pure dark side of government, which is now bigger than the light side. Many experts like Joel Skousen break down, and I agree with his analysis. And, I mean, if you'll do anything, you're going to be a drug dealer. Or if you'll go, you'll be a killer. Or if you'll go even further, it's unlimited. I went and saw Loopers last night, and I'm going to get more into this big issue of not being able to travel out the country or come back in if they want when we come back from break. I went and saw it. It's a real subtle movie with Bruce Willis. Very, very well done. And in the future, the United States is run by the mafia. And subtly, it shows that the police, by the end, that the mafia is in a police station, and they've actually got cops in blue that you see at the end that are working for the mafia, and the police chief is the gangster mafia chief sent from the future, spoiler alert, obviously, living in a vault inside the building. And the United States is fully collapsed because of corruption, and China is now the center of the world government. But there is still a Second Amendment, so everybody's shooting and killing each other, and more than half the population is homeless. That's actually Agenda 21. But they plan to fully convert the police over. Oh, it's even more realistic. Low-level cops aren't allowed to have weapons. Then mid-level are allowed to have a single-shot shotgun, and the higher-ups have automatic weapons and everything else. That's actually State Department memorandum and common law, U.S. law 7277, State Department memorandum 7277, and UN treaty that we've covered here before. It says the general cops are going to be disarmed and just have tasers. Alex Jones here with a message that could revolutionize health in this country. Going back about a year and a half ago, I began to learn about the incredible health effects of Youngevity products. Aaron Dykes lost 92 pounds. We're going to show you some before and afters. Aaron, break down what happened, your story.
I've worked really hard with diet and exercise to try to lose weight, but I just didn't get the results. It just didn't happen. Then I saw what you were doing with InfoWarsTeam.com. I wasn't even trying to lose weight, but I got it because I wanted to feel better energy. I wanted that nutrition. Didn't even understand how that could kickstart my own weight loss goals, but the products did that for me. I found myself suddenly losing weight, more energetic, wanting to exercise, wanting to eat the right foods.
And they don't even advertise it as weight loss. I want to challenge our radio listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com, sign up as a distributor, and get wholesale pricing discounts at InfoWarsTeam.com. Death is part of life, and it is what unifies us all, life and death. All of us will taste of death. Russell Means died over the weekend. American Indian activist actor dies at 72. He was supposed to die like a year ago of cancer, but beat it with natural means, then it came back metastasized. Russell Means never shunned attention, whether leading Native Americans and rallying against broken federal treaties, appearing in Hollywood blockbusters, or advocating sovereign American Indian nation with U.S. borders. The activist who helped lead the 1973 uprising at Wounded Knee reveled in the spotlight. I love how they, in this AP article, imply he was an attention whore. How about being in there for weeks in Wounded Knee when they were pouring tens of thousands of bullets into it? And again, I don't agree with some of the things that Russell Means promoted 20, 30 years ago, but more and more he was speaking out against the New World Order, against socialism, against collectivism. He understood it was eugenics-based. He said Obama was bad 4 years ago. He had a lot of courage. And we did a big hour-long plus mini documentary with him that he said he thought the best, sit-down interview he ever did. He was very, very proud of it. It was called Welcome to the Reservation. It's free online. It's posted in high def at prisonplanet.tv. He is, now dead. So Russell Means, who gained international notoriety, is one of the leaders of the 71-day armed occupation of Wounded Knee in South Dakota in 1973 and continued to be an outspoken champion of American Indian rights after launching a career in action, an actor in films and television in 1990, has died. He's also a great actor, great presence. And there's just a lot of haters and a lot of people that were jealous and envious of Russell Means. And the fact that he actually spoke his mind. And the left turned against him in the last 15 years because he began to understand that socialism and communism was a system of enslavement and eugenics to control people and destroy them. And he started speaking about that and exposing that. And so the left started attacking him as well as the fake right. Happy trails, buddy. There in the happy hunting ground. I guess we'll all end up there if we're lucky enough instead of the other place. So God bless you. And tonight on the Nightly News, we're going to air the originals, like over a year and a half old, Welcome to the Reservation after the news. But first, we'll air my last interview with him. What was that, about 6 months ago? It was about 6 months ago from the Nightly News as well. That's tonight, 7 o'clock Central. The main news portion tonight will be David Knight, does a fabulous job. And then we'll air that. By the way, we said we were going to air some Bob Chapman during the 48-hour broadcast. Ever did that? I do in the future want to do a rebroadcast someday on a holiday or something with nothing but Bob Chapman and then me telling stories and leading in and out as a tribute. Because we need to not just forget people that have died, myself included. We're so busy with our own daily lives that interesting people that have contributed to humanity, even though with everything they said, they had courage, they had guts, and that was enough. We need to remember these people. Not just remember all the fake sports icons and things the globalists build up so they can tear them down. And I want to talk about how they can try to control heroes a little bit towards the end of the hour after I get into some more of the news. That is coming up. Okay, let me just give you some of the headlines before I get back into the domestic checkpoints that are not coming. They're already here. But what life will be like here in America. Let me just get into some of the other headlines here. Eugenics in education. Healthy boy banned from public school due to genetic makeup. And this has been covered by Fox News, you name it. 11-year-old California schoolboy named Coleman Chatham has been banished from his school and forced to transfer to another school because he carries the genetic mutation for cystic fibrosis. It's not communicable. It's not it's a genetic disorder. And it's not even manifesting, but they say you've got to go to our special school. And you notice the special schools are getting in some areas as big as the regular schools because they're the vaccines, the drugs, the chemicals, the bad diets. More and more of the kids are going to have problems. The school gets more money. So why do they even know his genetic makeup? Well, they take your blood at birth. People are going to get genetic testing now, you've noticed. And they'll say, oh, we have a genetic treatment for you. We can probably cure your cancer or whatever it is. But oh, yeah, they got a blood sample from you sometime in your life. This company patented your particular blood DNA. That's not a joke. Look that up. And sorry, the treatment's going to cost $1 million now. Well, it's going to cost $20,000. I mean, just type that in. Court rules that you don't own your DNA. Okay, they're just doing whatever they want. So there it is. What we're seeing here is the beginning of the application of eugenics in public schools. This is how it starts, banning little boys and girls because of bad gene sequence, even if they have absolutely no symptoms and are living in a state of perfect health. Well, what do they want to go to that school? Next, it progresses to racially genetic profiling with declaration that people have certain races are genetically inferior. That already happens in Endgame. We have in state board hearings in the legislature. They say, why do you drug 69% of kids? And they go, they have bad gene pools. No test is done. They're black. You can't make this up. And therefore, unable to be taught in public schools will be told. And from there, as history has shown, it moves to the eugenics phase. That's right. Now they say they're going to drug all the kids. Total nightmare. And Mike Adams at naturalnews.com. It's also up at Infowars.com. Links through to Fox News, Daily Mail, HBO. Bill Maher saying just kill everybody. You know, he's pro-death. Yeah, very nice people. India may ban GMO crop field trials for 10 years. But that's okay. because now 6 largest pesticide corporations funding effort to try to defeat GMO labeling Proposition 37. Because you shouldn't be able to know if something's had a bunch of high-tech pesticides sprayed on it or low-tech like fluoride, sodium fluoride. You shouldn't be allowed to know that in America. No, you shouldn't be allowed to know that. That's another report in that area. Pesticide could be the culprit in bee drop-off. New big study out on that. University study, flu vaccine effectiveness claims are wildly exaggerated. And it only helped people 1.5% of the time when the study was looked at by the University of Minnesota. And that's even using the Cook data they had. The flu shot actually lowers your immunity. That's been proven in so many studies it makes my head spins. Another great SD Wells story at Natural News. Side effects of GMOs. Ask your doctor. Is cancer right for you? Excellent article up at Infowars.com and naturalnews.com. Pesticide food timeline. And it goes over the Nazis and everything else. You might want to go read that. Or maybe ask your doctor if organ failure is good for you, is right for you. Study says children with ADHD like taking antipsychotic drugs. That's right. They put out a new study saying, hey, and it's good for them once we get them on Ritalin to put them on Prozac. They like it. Well, yeah, what are they? 5 to 7 to 10, depending on the study, the more likely than being drug addicts when you ever put them on any of this. Well, of course, they're getting them young. Got to fight drugs. I mean, dare to stay off drugs unless they're big pharma's deadly drugs. Also, a lot of reports out today pushing that there's going to be a cyber digital 9/11. Yep, just as soon as Cybersecurity Command is in place to take over, it will then launch the attack or launch the attack through puppets they covertly hire, who don't even know they've been hired, to later bust those puppets as a way to totally take over the web. And I'm now hearing radio ads about, under the new compliance rules, you must save all your email for years and have federally approved IT people. You could go to jail if you don't. Check this federal website to find out. It's already begun. It's all being phased in here. We're spying on you. Better love it. Great video from KXII that we'll get to later when Pat Shannon is on with us. 12-year-old exercises Second Amendment. When I saw the door handle turn, I shot him. More and more children are protecting themselves with firearms, and the system absolutely hates it. Don't you wish somebody at that Wisconsin spa where the angry boyfriend went in and shot people had been armed? But no, it was a bunch of disarmed women. I love how the feminists say women shouldn't own guns. I thought you wanted women empowered. Oh, I see. You really don't. So we're going to be getting into all of that as well. Again, UN monitors to control our elections. It'll be overseeing them, but not overseeing for electronic institutional government fraud, not comptroller fraud, not CEO fraud, not the big industrial fraud. No, they're going to be there making sure the illegal aliens can vote not once, not twice, but thrice, as Democratic operatives have been recorded saying, yes, we'll teach you how to vote repeatedly. That's all coming out. By the way, what was it, a CBS News channel? I had it here in my stack. I'll get to it. Here it is. CBS News affiliate calls 2012 presidential race for Barack Obama weeks ahead of election. And this continues to happen. Sometimes on the night of the event, what was it, ABC in 96 flashed the exact voting totals hours before for the entire country up on screen, and then didn't even change it later, just still put it up. The 2012 presidential election is still more than 2 weeks away, but on Friday, a CBS News affiliate in Arizona called the race for President Barack Obama. That's the Daily Caller reports. For 17 seconds, Phoenix, Arizona CBS News, KPHO, ran a lower third graphic that showed the Obama had won the November 6th election over Governor Mitt Romney with 99% of the precincts reporting. The lower third graphic appeared at 3:30 p.m. on October 19th during an episode of The People's Court. Got that a little too comical. They said they'd already blown up Building 7. They said it'd already fallen its own footprint an hour before it happened, and then 25 minutes before, and the reporters are, it fell in its own footprint from fires. Everyone's surprised that the complete collapse hadn't happened yet. You guys ready? Get going there? Oh, very loving. The CBS News graphic showed Obama winning the election with 43% of the vote nationwide to Romney's 40%. with 237,000 votes to 38 million and change for Romney. It is unclear who garnered the other 70% in the fictional election results. KPHO's general manager did not return the Daily Caller's request for comment by the time of publication. So there you go from the Daily Caller reporting on that. Okay, let's just continue here now. Now, I want everybody to listen to me very, very carefully. I want to explain to you what life in this country and in every industrialized nation is going to be like. And this isn't my opinion. This is the stated facts by Homeland Security, by MI5 in England, and by the EU, quote, security services, who all meet and have all integrated their programs. That's why they got naked body scanners going in Europe, same ones here. It's continuity of agenda. It's a global corporate agenda that is then handed down to the North American Union, the EU, and the Asian Union, which are all open and publicly operating. And deciding everything from the color of street signs down to what the world reserve currency will be. It's all been standardized. I want to read to you a few headlines and then tie them in together. Okay, this is just in the last few days. AP, no-fly list strands man on island in Hawaii because he was a prepper and, well, a Threat Fusion Center said you got a website, or he's been seen talking about prepping. No violence, no nothing. You're not allowed to fly. Okay, that's it. We told you about that days before it broke. The Northeast Intelligence Network got him on for us. Okay, Lou Rockwell reports why you need a passport now. And it links to all the mainstream news saying that you are not going to be allowed to have a passport if they feel like it. They're just going to deny you and not say why. No judge, no jury. So there's no fly list that they're talking about. We can document cam shot right in here. Right in here is now the document cam shot sector. You can just keep the camera aimed right there, and we'll show people that right there. So again, right here, no fly list, strands man on island in Hawaii. And if you're talking about document cams and our radio listener, we're streaming video of this at prisonplanet.tv. There's this report. Why you need a passport now. At a future point, it may be impossible to get one. Papersplease.org reports on what the State Department is planning for future passport applicants. The new U.S. passport application forms are back worse than ever, ignoring massive public opposition. And despite having recently admitted there is already using the proposed forms illegally without approval, the State Department is trying again to get approval for a pair of impossible-to-complete new passport application forms that would, in effect, allow the State Department to deny you a passport simply by choosing to send you either of the long forms. And it goes over the new rules, asking who the doctor was that delivered you, who the nurse was, everything, with proof. You have to get a private investigator to be able to get this, okay? Meanwhile, illegal aliens are all just given them instantly, are all legalized everywhere. People say, oh, we need internal checkpoints for the illegals. The illegals are left alone. This whole internal system is for you. So again, people stranded, can't fly because they're a prepper. Told you shouldn't have criticized the NDAA on this blog. You're not flying by weirdo TSA people who are now going to be on the streets. Here's Fox News right here. Oh, the IRS, you're not going anywhere. A bill making its way through Congress could allow the federal government to prevent Americans who owe back taxes from leaving the country. No judge, no jury, no adjudication, private collection agency for the private Federal Reserve. There it is. Okay? You've got that right there. Here's another one. This is ABC News. Senators to unveil Ex-Patriot Act to respond to Facebook's severance tax scheme. Paid his taxes, left the country. All the elites are running to places like Singapore. And this is all selectively enforced, though. Now, little people try to get their legal money out. They're not letting people get 100 thou out that's after-tax money. And they say these are capital controls. This is what always happens. Nazi Germany, Soviet Russia, Maoist China, Fidel's Cuba, Hugo Chavez's Venezuela. Go look at North Korea. Go look at any authoritarian country. This is the hallmark, because they're going to not let you get your money out, and they're going to take everything you've got. And they mean business. And so what if hundreds of thousands of police die in a civil war? They call them cannon fodder. They call them dumb animals, as Henry Kissinger called them. And a lot of them will line up and die, taking you and your family to a FEMA camp because they like being called dumb animals. Now, let's continue here. Let's go right. But this is authoritarianism. This is Red Dawn takeover. We've been occupied. They're trying to mop up free speech right now and shut us down. You better recognize the attack. Okay? Continuing. I've got a bunch of other articles here in my stack dealing with all of this that we're going to be going over, and how it ties in with the TSA straight ahead. But you need to understand, the airport is what every place is going to be like. Street corner, the mall, you're not going to have a job unless they say so. Buy nor sell, face scanning to buy and sell.
Everything we said came true. Everything we've done has been right.
This is not my opinion. This is an authoritarian takeover worldwide, where they're going to come in your house without warrants. They're going to taser you for no reason. They're going to take blood at checkpoints. It's already started. They're going to make you eat GMO. They're going to force inoculations on you. It's all been announced. They're going to drug all children like THX 1138. All children will be drugged. The food's already drugged. The water's already drugged. And they will start just killing people whenever they want on the streets. Drones and blimps will be tethered over every major city. And people will start dying. You think 3,000% increases in cancer? How about 10,000, 20,000? And they're just going to start killing everybody. I mean, I guess that's kind of the good news, is that once they get this post-industrial system rolling, most people are going to be dead if the globalists actually implement all this. Remember, there's the good track of history and the bad track. The bad guys are always trying to do this. They want to get rid of freedom because they can't realize their great dreams of total power. It's a paradox that they can't have total power if they don't totally enslave. Even though it ruins the world for them, to them it's beautiful, so they don't mind it. Even if they're destroyed by it, it's like a lot of criminals like to rob and rape and kill because it's fun. It's just not the money. It's that that's what they're into. They think that's cool. And so they've warped society. Torture is good. Secret arrest is good. The family's bad. Hurting your body is cool. This is a society begging for enslavement, and you will get it. You will get it. Do not worry. You're going to have a horrible time, everybody. And people will just further get into the sports, get into the drama, all of it. So I'm going to cover this more with Pat Shannon, but a few of the articles here. Again, senators unveil Expatriate Act, where you can't come back to the country if you leave the country with even legal money. Oh, the IRS, you're not going anywhere. Fox News won't let you leave. They're not going to let you operate domestically, they've said as well. No-fly list strands man on island in Hawaii because he was, quote, a prepper, they told him. Now AP confirms what we told you last week. Why you need a passport now? They're set to make you answer questions that are impossible to answer, and they say they'll just start denying them. We already have less passports in the U.S. than any other country in the world. Americans do. They want to keep that going on. Wall Street Journal, wary Swiss banks shun Yanks. You want to put a little money back in the safest banking system in the world? Have your own debit card over here? Used to be UBS's all over the U.S. They're leaving. Because now the U.S. is going in saying, hey, we're going to take over your banks. It's not the U.S., it's the mega bankers. Dutch Royal Shell, BP, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Google, General Electric. You've all heard they pay 0 or maybe up to 5% tax because they're all exempt. It's people trying to put $1 million in a Swiss bank account of the Caymans. You're not going to do it. It doesn't matter if it's legal. The IRS is going to take what you got out of that bank account and give it to the bankers to put it back in the same bank account. When Scott Smith finally got his Swiss passport last month, it was time for him to take the drastic step. See, they know Americans are leaving, folks, because this ain't land of the free home of the brave. It's land of the potbelly control freak working for foreign bankers. See, he tried to run to where the mega banks are based in many cases. Oh, that's for them to be safe, not for you. You're going to stay here and everything you got taken. We're going to, maybe the globals put you in a ditch, take care of you and take everything you got, boy. Hey, you might be bad. Among the reasons was a pending U.S. regulation, pending aimed at tracking down tax cheats that is making life difficult for some Americans abroad. These expatriates say the foreign banks, which have expressed concern over compliance costs and potential penalties for failing to report the American clients, are turning away their business. Oh, yeah. Oh, no. You're an American? Your Fuhrer doesn't let you leave. No. The long arm of the New World Order. See, the globalists have captured America. Now they're using it to capture everybody else. And I got another big stack of news here on this show. That's the future. The TSA shooting you in the back of the head in the ditch and taking your wife and children away for re-education. Alex Jones here with a message to fellow freedom lovers. The prognosis for the entire planetary economic system runs from bad to worse. The globalist model is to shut down societies and starve patriots out until they acquiesce to the global takeover. That's why we've assembled the most vital and important preparedness items at InfoWarsShop.com. These are items that I did research on, that I personally use. We've got the life straw, so you can turn fetid water into safe water anywhere you go. The K-Tor hand crank generator to charge up key equipment during power outages or out in the field. Strategic Relocation, 3rd edition by Joel Scalzo. When Disaster Strikes by Matthew Stein. ThyroSafe, used by Homeland Security to protect yourself during any radiological event. Hand crank shortwave AM/FM radios. Everything that we've researched and found to be the best is available at InfoWarsShop.com, and your purchase makes our InfoWar possible. We're getting prepared. Are you? InfoWarsShop.com. That was not hyperbole if you just were listening in the last segment. That's what they're training the Explorer Scouts, the Yugen, the last 5-6 years. That's what they're training the police, the military, to lock down cities, go door to door, and face scan people off their driver's license photos and put people that don't submit to the system. If you're on a no-fly list for being a prepper, you're going to go to a forced labor camp. And that's what they've got in the civilian inmate labor camp program. Just type in civilian inmate labor camp program. It's the Army runs it. They've primed it with federal and state prisoners. They've got them all trained. You're going to go to a forced labor camp. Because, see, that's about the governing class and the bankers having real power. You're going to a forced labor camp. You know, George Soros helped hunt down his fellow Jews in Romania and identify them and take their money. And, you know, the globalists here today are saying we're going to have capital controls. I've seen people with a couple silver coins drug out of line, you know, on the airplane at the airport. This is the system. This is what they're doing. This is what they're pushing. And this is what they have planned. And they're setting it up where getting everybody used to the checkpoints, and you get there and they say, come in an interrogation room. And then, you know, mom and the kids or whatever are sitting over there on the bench. And they're like, okay, your husband's been taken in. He's being detained. And you're being sent somewhere for observation. So get on that truck. And if you and your kids cry, they're going to taser you and beat your brains out. That's what they signed up for. And you're gone, and your husband's taken off and shot in the back of the head. Or used for medical experiments or whatever the case is. I mean, Jack Bauer gets tough on terrorists. I mean, you know. The Army tortures people's kids in front of them in Abu Ghraib. That came out in the Army report. So that's all meant to come back here. And that's what the system just can't wait to do. So they're going to take your bank account. They're going to take your farm. They're going to take everything you got. And they're going to collapse society, and they're going to implement all this unless we stop them. You see, those of you that work for the system are hearing this, and you know you're training for all this. You know that people are being hired who absolutely love to hurt innocent people. And this is what they're going to do. And the founders gave us the Second Amendment as an emergency backup to protect ourselves. Now, there are a lot of police that realize we are in a tyranny, and they're waking up. But we talk a lot about the police because you're going to be commanded by the federal brown shirts that are going to consist of a TSA stew of malcontents, perverts, and basic robbers who are pleading guilty everywhere. Some of them stealing $1 million a year out of your bags. Yeah, we got a bunch of footage of people in wheelchairs, and they say on tape, get up. Person goes, I'm a quadriplegic. You can totally tell these people, you know, have just, you know, no muscle structure. And they're like, I can't. I don't walk. I've got tubes in my neck. And they just go, okay, we're gonna beat you bad and break all your bones. When you've been paralyzed from the neck down like that, or from the chest down in the case of the video we're showing, and people throw you on the ground, in that case, that guy broke a whole bunch of bones. And it's like, hey, you can't walk? You're paralyzed? Hey, how about this? Yeah! Down with freedom, down with honor, down with all protections of everybody's bank accounts and everybody's future and your children. Now the Constitution is burning up in front of us, and through the holes that have been burned, just soar in all the vicious criminals and control freaks that have just wreaked havoc. Their spirit has wreaked havoc across the ages, and now they're going to get to gut America and Europe, and they're going to take everything. They're going to take all your bank accounts, and they love it if you quit your job and just shut down good, starve to death. They'll use the hordes of starving people as the excuse to take everything. It's the great reorganization, the great Soviet culling, like the Ukrainians were called, the great orgy of blood and death and murder that Lenin loved so much. His own enforcers would come back, TSA types, and say, we've killed or imprisoned half the town. What do we do now? No one's resisting. Go ahead and kill the other groups. Murder. And they said, what do you want? And he said, I want more blood. Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds? I'm not joking about the government wanting to round people up and put us in FEMA camps. It's called the Emergency Centers Establishment Act. It's called the Civilian Inmate Labor Camp Program, and it's all these different executive orders about seizure of the population into work brigades. Just type in executive orders for forced labor, and you'll be at Library of Congress. And it's been reissued by every president in the last 30 years or so, so there'll be a bunch of different ones. But go pull them up. And all over the country now, they've got federally funded checkpoints where they even face scan you with the similar systems they had in Fallujah, and then drag you off. And in the future, it's going to be a no-buy, no-fly, no-gun-own, no work, no travel. They've said this. You're not going to have a job. You're not going to travel. You're not going to buy food. You notice all over they're putting signs up saying, we don't accept large bills now. They're trying to tell me at stores they won't take 20s now. So they're just phasing it out. They're tearing up $100 bills at Walmart that are real. They're arresting people that have $100 bills. They're arresting people that have silver and show it to someone at the park. Everything's criminal now except being criminal. Then tyranny is when criminals take over. And sure, society collapses. They don't care about that. So I want to get Pat Shannon's take on this, but here are some of these articles. Wall Street Journal reports legal families with post-tax money. People have post-tax money, and they are not allowed to leave with it out of the United States. They're not letting citizens leave to Costa Rica. They're not letting them leave to Switzerland. And that's in the Wall Street Journal. They say, you can leave, your money stays here. And by the way, there's not even a law. They're just saying it. There's no law. The UN runs our country, but Obama says they do to Congress. There's no law saying he can shut down coal power plants. They just do it. It's called government does whatever it wants. Mitt Romney hardly pays any taxes. The big mega corporations themselves on average pay zero. Most of them pay nothing. What Google pays 3.4% a year. But the average American making over $100,000 a year pays almost 40% to the Federal Reserve. Then there's the dozens of other taxes. So here's that report. And we've got a video. Truck driver stands up to unconstitutional checkpoint. Americans are reasserting their Fourth Amendment. They now have Border Patrol checkpoints 100 miles in from any border or coastline. Well, most of the population lives on coastlines. And I've seen it. They let illegal aliens just drive through unfettered, give them bank accounts. They're all left alone. Homeland Security announced months ago, we already knew, they don't take in illegal aliens now. In fact, they hire them in Homeland Security to do contracts. And people comment in this video, they go, I thought you people want to stop the illegals. The checkpoints, as Ron Paul said, are for the American people. Okay? But the really scary thing is this Lou Rockwell story, why you need a passport now. And it goes over and has links to mainstream news where they now say they have the right, outside of law, it says there's no law, to just deny you a passport. And if you sue them, they give you a long form basically saying, who was your doctor? What was the nurse's name? And hundreds of questions no one can answer. And then they'll just say they're improper and refuse them. So this is the new system, and nothing to do with the illegals. They're just allowed in. They do a few arrests for public consumption. And again, no-fly list strands man on island in Hawaii. We had him on twice last week. Hawaii is a paradise for most visitors, but it was Wade Hicks Jr.'s prison for 5 days, and he only got out because of media attention here on the show. The 34-year-old Gulfport, Mississippi, was stranded in the islands this week after being told he was on the FBI's no-fly list during a layover for a military flight from California to Japan. The episode left Hicks scrambling to figure out how he'd get home from Hawaii without being able to fly. Then he was abruptly removed from the list Thursday with no explanation. Well, we had him and another fellow on, too. This happened in a lot of people. It has raised questions on how he landed on the list. Hicks said he was traveling to visit his wife, a U.S. Navy lieutenant who deployed to Japan. He hitched a ride in a military flight and is common for military dependents who were allowed to fly on scheduled routes when there is room. Hicks said that during the layover at the Pearl Harbor base, Immigration Customs Enforcement agent told him he was on a no-fly list, wouldn't be allowed to deplane. Of course, they don't want to tell you it was over the fact that he was told that he was a prepper and that they were reading. They go and look up now what you do on the internet. And they got records of you flying constantly, no criminal record. They don't care. They grab your laptops now and download them. Cops all over the country now grab your cell phone and download stuff without warrants. Courts say they can. Courts say they can taser you to make you answer questions in a hospital bed. They now throw people out of wheelchairs that are quadriplegics. And the courts say that's good. You should have minded the order. If you're having a convulsion, don't mind the order to stop having the convulsion. I'm not joking. They taser you. If the teacher uploads a picture of her breast in front of the class, they suspend the class. And they say, well, the rule says you can't see pornography. The teacher's fine. People are like, well, that makes no sense. It's meant to overturn reason. Why do they in the military give you sleep deprivation for 8 weeks and make you sing silly songs and do silly things? It's to see if you'll do what you're told. This is my rifle. This is my gun. This is for fighting. This is for fun. The Marines, at least back in the 60s, I saw a documentary about Stanley Kubrick doing research, they made them march around grabbing their genitals. Why? Because you're going to do it, or I'm going to stomp your guts out. That's why. The editor of Breitbart says, I don't want to be taken behind closed doors. And they say, well, you are. And they drag her back there to grab her genitals. On video, you see the door close, and the TSA people are smiling. These are weirdos that like this. A normal person doesn't like to get in the face of somebody that deserves to be gotten in the face because it's embarrassing. It's weird when you're powerful to exercise power over people. But those that don't have power crave it. All right, continuing. It's time for us that are good to get angry and rout these people. Here's Fox News. Oh, the IRS, you're not going anywhere. We'll get Lou Rockwell on about 15 after. We're going to hold a Pat over about 10 minutes. I just had to cover this because it's so important. And it says, well, they couldn't get it passed in Congress, so now they're just saying you're going to be put on a no-fly list if the IRS says, one of their bureaucrats, that they think you may not have paid everything. That means if they send you a letter saying they believe you've underpaid the Private Federal Reserve, that you're not going to fly. No judge, no jury, just like Rahm Emanuel said. You are on a no-fly list that they put you on extrajudicially. Over 2 million Americans on it. Senate report just came out and admitted it. Totally innocent. Not one terrorist caught because they run the terrorist. That was 2 weeks ago. Senate report. Confirming what we've been saying for years. Government admits they put out fake terror alerts. Governor Ridge admitted that. They're staging it all. They run al-Qaeda overseas. And they sit there and they say, you're not going to own a gun now. We're going to not just let you buy guns now. We're going to SWAT team you in the middle of the night, even though you have no criminal record, because we put you on the list at the Threat Fusion Center. And here comes the SWAT team rolling down your door, and oopsie, they're going to gun you down in the future. And a gun gets dropped, just like the troops are trained to do in Iraq. They carry a few extra AK-47s in the tank, or the APC. This is on record. And they kill 20, 30 Hajis, just throw a gun down. What they call them. And they come back here, they become cops. And they kill their wives and kids. It's not even a big deal now. Just like, oh, yeah, that's just what happens. This is the new system. But then the rest of the veterans who held it together and were moral, well, you're all going to lose your rights too unless you join the New World Order. Then you can keep your guns. This is the hell system. And I've studied Nazi Germany, Soviet Russia, and every other tyranny. The old Roman system, when it started collapsing, wouldn't let Romans get out with their money. These are called capital controls, and they're coming. Legal. I remember talking to some members of John Wayne's family. John Wayne used to love to go camp and stay out in the county right next to Hayes County. I won't even say where. And that whole area out there. And they had some family property and some houses on some creeks. And I had a chance to talk to some of John Wayne's family, direct, child. And they said, this was like 4 years ago, they go, you got about 2 years to get out of the country if you've got any money. And I'm like, well, I don't really have that problem then. And they said, because they're not going to let you get out. And I said, well, how do you know that? And they said, we've been told by billionaires and others. And then I went and looked it up. Well, it's here now. You got $1 million that's yours. You aren't leaving with it. You're not going anywhere, scum. You're staying here. You understand, filth? That's what they're telling you. Wall Street Journal today. You want to get out of this country where they torture and secretly arrest everybody and run Al-Qaeda? See, that's the thing. You're not going to run from this new world order, ladies and gentlemen. You got to stand and fight it. But these are tyrants.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.